Good afternoon, everyone. Looks like we have just about all of our attendees here in our panel for today's meeting. So I'm going to go ahead and get started as we're here at 2 o'clock. So welcome to today's public information meeting on wildfires in the Thompson-Nicola Regional District. My name is Michelle Nordstrom, and I'm the Information Officer with the TNRD's Emergency Operations Center in Kamloops. So before we get started, as always, I would like to take a moment and acknowledge that we connect with many First Nation communities across our vast regional district, and today are located on the Kamloops-Tshekwepic territory, situated within the ancestral lands of the Tshekwepic Nation. The TNRD appreciates the partnerships that we have and respect the territory and land on which we are meeting from today. So just a few housekeeping items before we get started hearing from updates from Bc Wildfire Service. A recorded version of this meeting will be available to stream on
There's
demand.
a last rain on 10:30.
Oh, and if I could just ask everyone to mute your microphones while we are just getting started up here. Thank you very much. And unmute yourself when it's time to speak, but that would be appreciated. So again, this meeting will be available to stream on demand. After the meeting is done, we'll have it available on our website. We have a 2021 wildfire information page of information on our website where you can find all of this and more. It's also available on our YouTube channel. So if you search for the Thompson-Nicola Regional District on YouTube, you can also choose to subscribe to our channel, and then you will get notified whenever we have updated or uploaded one of our recordings from these updates. There will be no live questions and answer period at today's meeting, as we have been doing throughout this wildfire season. We are asking attendees to submit their questions in advance of the meeting on our website. Again, that's on the TNRD.ca website, 2021 wildfires. You will find information on how to submit questions, or if you've subscribed to receive emails from us or follow us on social media, you'll see when we announce that we are holding these meetings. We also include a link to submit your questions to our panelists in that update. So to start with today, we'll be getting an update from the Bc Wildfire Service. So we'll be hearing about several of the wildfires within the Kamloops Fire Center and Caribou Fire Center. So I'm going to get started with our update. I think our first, well, I'll let you guys go in order, I guess, Bc Wildfire, but on my agenda, I had an update from the White Rock Lake Wildfire. So if we're going to go in that order, we can start off with an update from Scott Rennick.
Hi, it's Hannah Swift here, Fire Information Officer for White Rock Lake Wildfire. Scott's up doing an assessment on the fire right now, so I will provide the update today. So the White Rock Lake Wildfire, which is located 34 kilometers northwest of Vernon at this point, still remains classified as out of control. We have a new size estimate today, it's 32,000 hectares. On site, we have 99 firefighters, 7 danger tree fallers and assessors, 10 helicopters, 39 pieces of equipment, and 42 structure protection specialists. So that size increase that we saw this morning, there was very aggressive fire growth through the night last night. There was winds from the north, so the fire did take a 14-kilometer run to the south. It has crossed the Salmon River FSR, and it's still just north of the Whiteman Creek FSR. But again, we have personnel out there just doing a better assessment right now, including our incident commander, Scott Rennick. But again, there's lots of smoke in the area that hasn't lifted, so it's really hampering our ability to get a good assessment as well as support our crews on the ground. So at this point in the south there, we do have heavy equipment working to reestablish some of the guards and see what they can save from the growth that we saw last night. They're also doing an assessment on some secondary control lines, just moving forward operationally. And then we're also working very closely with the Okanagan Indian Band on contingency lines on the west side of Okanagan Lake, as we're expected to continue to see the growth in the south and the southeast there. So last night on the northeast, it was also very active, and it was visible to the communities up in the northeast perimeter. So just south of the Monty Lake area, there's a ridge above there. The fire was active, but just because of those winds coming from the north, there wasn't as much growth in that direction. It was predominantly on that south flank. So again, no significant growth in the northeast. And we do have crews working again up there today. They've been very successful at flanking the fire in that area. So they've been able to get pretty control lines in pretty close to the flank up there. And they're using small hand ignitions just to widen the guard in that area. Given the conditions, the deep burning fuels, we have to widen those guards in that area to contain the fire. So they'll continue doing those and continue flanking because that's been working very well over the last few days. And again, as I mentioned, we are working on manageable, achievable objectives where we can, but the fire behavior that we're seeing is very aggressive and there's lots of smoke in the area. So it's really hampering our aircraft's ability to support our crews on the ground. And that does remain our number one priority as our first responder safety and of course the public. So we are continuing to work really closely with all the local governments that are impacted at this point. And we will continue to work closely to adjust evacuation orders and alerts and recommend as required. And that's all I have for today.
Hey, thanks very much on that update on the White Rock Lake wildfire. So next, I think we'll be heading to hear an update on the Sparks complex. So Sparks Lake, Tremont, and Embleton wildfires, I believe from Luke Robinson. Luke, are you with us, or another BC Wildfire Services staff for the Sparks complex update today?
Hi, Michelle. It's Taylor from the Kamloops Fire Center. Luke might just having some connectivity issues, so maybe we could go to the next presenter.
Sure. Thanks very much, Taylor. We'll come back around to Sparks complex update, and maybe we can get an update on the Lytton complex next. So Lytton Creek, Mckay Creek, and George Road. Do we have Erin Bull available for that update today?
Yes, thanks. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you fine. Thanks, Erin.
Perfect. Okay, sorry for the lack of video. We're actually just on the road. We've been out and about a lot these last few days. So yeah, there's about 4 fires, of course, in the Lytton Creek complex. So I'll start with the George Road fires. So that's K70804. There was some increase in activity over the past few days, resulting in a lot more smoke and visible flame from Highway 1 and some of the surrounding communities there. Our most recent size estimate is around 2,800 hectares. So this fire remains out of control, and it is classified as a modified response fire. So we do not have any resources assigned solely to this fire. However, it is being continually monitored. So the border of this fire is pretty close up to the Lytton Creek fire. So we do have our personnel flying over top quite regularly just to keep an eye on things there. Today, through a lot of this area at Cache Creek and on that fire, we have seen quite a bit of rain. Temperatures are a lot cooler, humidity is up, so there hasn't been as much activity going on there today. The same goes for the Mohawkin Fire. Very similar, this one is a modified response as well. So again, there are no resources solely assigned there. The size update on that one is again around 2,500 hectares. And similar to the George Road fire, we do have personnel and helicopters flying overhead to do regular checks on that. So we'll move over to the Mckay Creek fire. So that one, let's see, our latest size is around 26,000 hectares. There's a lot more sun that's been getting onto that fire in the last few days. So we have seen some pretty significant increase in fire activity. Most of the growth has been towards the west, along the west flank of the fire. And yesterday we did see some additional growth moving in the north direction. So that has prompted the recommendation and the implementation of some additional evacuation alerts. from the Squamish-Lillooet Regional District. Due to the fire activity, we haven't been able to engage in much direct attack on that fire in the past number of days. Helicopters will be bucketing where they're able, but significant smoke is providing challenges for that as well. The eastern flank that fire has remained relatively quiet. We did have a thermal scan done a number of days ago. So we have had crews on the east side there seeking out those hotspots that were identified by the scan and mopping up over there. So it's been remaining very quiet on that side of things. But again, more activity is being seen on the west, as well as the north and some of the south flank as well. So lastly, we have the Lytton Creek fire. We're estimating that one to be just over 50,000 hectares at this time. We have had a very significant amount of smoke in this area in the last few days, which has made helicopters not really able to fly very much. So we've been limited in those activities over the past number of days. However, the smoke has really given us some added benefit as well, that the fire has not been as active in some portions. So namely on that southwest border near the community of Shacken, not as much movement or activity over there in the past number of days. The fire has moved into the Shacken Creek drainage in the past few days, and it still is in there in a number of places. We have completed a guard on the southeast flank. The plan was to engage in some controlled ignitions. However, there were visibility challenges, and some small hand ignitions have been done throughout the evening. But things are looking pretty quiet over there relatively today. There has been a bit of a rain in the area as well, and lower temperatures, so that's really working in our favor. Increased activity continues in the Botany area on the east and west sides of the Botany Valley. We have been able to have helicopters continue bucketing pretty heavily up there. We do have equipment that is continually working to put in guards kind of on the north flank over there, and crews continue working in that area as well. I'd say that's it for me. Oh, sorry, I guess one last thing. We will be demobilizing structure protection out of Spence's Bridge starting today, and that will continue into the next number of days. With the rain that we've received, we're feeling pretty comfortable with that area, and fire activity has been quiet over there for a number of days as well.
Okay, that's great to hear. Thank you very much for your update.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll see if we can maybe get back to an update from Luke Robinson on the Sparks Complex, if we can get audio on that side of things. Luke, do we have you now?
Yeah, wasn't able to join, but I'm his assistant out here, so I will be giving the update.
Great,
My
thank
name
you.
is Aiden Corey. So I'll start with the Sparks Lake fire. It is still estimated to be 65,484 hectares in size. We currently have 64 firefighters, 10 helicopters, and 36 pieces of heavy equipment. The fire is remaining extremely active in the north and northeastern flank. With the forecasted elevated temperatures and lower relative humidity, we are still expecting to see increased fire activity in that area over the next few days. In the southeastern flank, as well as the more western side along Skeetcheston, there's almost no fire activity. We are doing mop-up and demobilization of resources in those flanks. Structural protection have completed their setup in the southwest, and they are moving out. Heavy equipment is still being used to establish guard in the Tobacco Plateau. And the current evacuation orders and alerts remain in place, no changes in the last few days. Over to Embleton, we have some good news. The status is now changed to being held, meaning it is suppression action has been taken sufficiently, and it is not expected to grow beyond its existing perimeters. So it remains at the 991 hectares in size. There are 30 firefighters on that one today, 1 helicopter, 4 danger tree assessors, and 2 pieces of heavy equipment still working in the area. And most of the fire is in mop-up and patrol. So that is some good news from our team here. Finally, the Tremont Fire is now estimated to be 26,855 hectares in size, still out of control. Today we have 38 personnel on day shift and 8 personnel will remain on site overnight. We have 7 helicopters, 39 pieces of heavy equipment, and our incident management team included. The fire is most active in the northeastern flank, just kind of north of Tuncle Park. It is still active along most perimeters, but out on the western flanks near Barnes Lake and Chewalishan has seen very minimal fire activity. So while that is good to see, we are going to continue to monitor the status of the evacuation orders in that area. So while it looks, safer, quieter, that is something we will continue to monitor for safety reasons, and until we know for sure that there are no hot spots and no flare-ups will take place, those evacuation orders will remain in place. So, yeah.
Great. Thanks very much for that update on those 3 fires. Next, I think we are going to hear a little bit about the Young Lake wildfire from Madison Smith with Bc Wildfire.
Hi there, thanks. Yeah, today I'll talk about the Young Lake fire. I don't have too big of an update, but the Young Lake wildfire is located 35 kilometers southeast of 70 Mile House. The fire is estimated at 6,937 hectares in size and is classified as out of control. Today we have 44 personnel, 17 pieces of heavy equipment, and 1 helicopter on site. A few days ago on July 30th, there was a planned aerial ignition that did take place. We were successful with that ignition. This ignition secured the containment line by removing unburnt fuel that remained between the containment line and the active fire. Today, our crews are out there. They're continuing to mop up along the northeast flank where this planned aerial ignition took place. They're also completing a patrol of the guard along the eastern flank down towards the south to assess the need for further securing of containment line. So they're looking at if there needs to be any widening of that containment line with heavy equipment. We also have some of our crews down in the southwest corner that are doing assessments for the same thing, to check on our containment lines and make sure that they're large enough. And if need be, heavy equipment will be there tomorrow or later today to increase the size of those. We do have, the crews are on there doing those mop up and patrols, like I said earlier, and plans for further aerial ignitions are paused right now. We don't have any aircraft flying in that area due to low visibility, due to the smoke. So it's all just ground operations today. And that's all I have for you.
Okay, thanks very much, Madison. And then lastly, our wildfire update on Flat Lake Wildfire. Nicole Buoyant, are you available with us today?
Yeah, hi, Nicole Buoyant. Okay. I'm the current fire information officer on the Northeast 100 Mile complex out of the Caribou Fire Center. We'll just be focusing on an update for the Flat Lake fire, which is Charlie 41602. It's currently estimated at 52,801 hectares and still remains out of control. We've got 61 firefighters out there today with 35 pieces of heavy equipment, structure personnel, and there's also roughly 17 helicopters assigned to the incident, similar to some of the other situations throughout the Kamloops Fire Center. And in the Caribou, the visibility has been really poor over the last couple of days into today, with just some really heavy smoke sitting fairly low in the valleys. So we haven't been able to use aircraft a whole lot in the last little bit. Yesterday, we had some really good success with some planned ignitions on the south flank of the fire, and we were able to burn some fuel and bring the fire perimeter down to some control lines that were actually established road systems, which allowed our crews to go in and work in a safer, more accessible place on the ground, as well as for heavy equipment and for direct water delivery. And we had plans to continue on with some additional planned ignition today, a little bit further west, sort of on the southwest corner, and wrapping up the west flank. But due to visibility challenges, those plans have also been put on hold. Probably the other most notable thing for this fire in the last sort of 24 hours and looking forward into the rest of today is that there's been a fairly significant storm system moving through the area. And with that storm cell has come some fairly unpredictable, erratic downgust winds. And so we saw those fairly significantly influence the north flank of the fire yesterday afternoon, late into the late afternoon. And that meant that we had a couple of excursions too on the north flank, not overly large in size. I think one was about 100 hectares and the other was about 20 hectares. And so the one that was on the northeast corner, which was roughly the 20-hectare one, we had crews and structure protection and heavy equipment respond right away, and they were able to catch it, and they worked throughout the night to put in some guard around it to further protect the community out there. And then we've got structure protection working in that evergreen 93-mile loop area, as well as back down in the Meadow Lake Road area today as well. Just doing further assessments and installing additional structure protection as necessary. And I think that's probably the most important for the updates for today.
Thanks very much, Nicole. As always, we appreciate hearing from everyone with BC Wildfire Service on what's happening on the ground and with all of the wildfires that are impacting various areas within the regional district and beyond. So thank you very, very much for your time. We did have a few public questions submitted for BC Wildfire that I hope to ask if they could be answered with us today. I think there are 4 of them. And then if anyone with BC Wildfire does have to leave us right now to get back to work fighting those fires, again, we thank you for your time. And if there are a couple from BC Wildfire who can stick around to answer these questions, I would appreciate it. And then we'll go on to our next part of the update meeting today. So I'm going to go ahead and I think BC Wildfire has these questions, but I'm going to go ahead and ask them. And then if I could maybe just see if anyone is available to respond to them. There was one question specific to Sparks Fire, and apologies if this was already kind of updated previously when we got the Sparks Lake update. But this question was specifically for the southeast portion of the Sparks Fire, more specifically Area J, so within the TNRD, our electoral area. Jay, I know that we still have evacuation alerts and orders active out there. So is there anything that we could maybe address regarding the southeast portion of Sparks Lake Fire?
Yeah, so that area is quite a bit less active compared to the northern flank. So we have been working on guards through that area, but the more we see activity in the north, I think that's where our focus will lie. So.
Great, thank you very much for that. For the question and for the answer. So the next question that we had submitted, this may be a little bit of a combination for BC Wildfire and for the Thompson-Nicola Regional District, but somebody wanted to know how often are orders reviewed to recommend downgrading evacuation orders to alerts or to all clear. So kind of just a question around frequency, around those recommendations from BC Wildfire to the various local governments and agencies who are the issuing agencies for these orders and alerts. If anyone can speak to that a little bit on your behalf, and then maybe I can jump in as well from the TNRD.
Yeah, I'll just add, you know, as the members of the public, they'll watch the fire very closely, especially if it is near their home. It is obviously, they watch for fire activity. So when they see low fire activity, you know, it feels a lot safer, and it feels like, oh, I should be able to go home soon, right? But BC Wildfire really wants to make sure that even though there's low fire activity, that an area that maybe isn't as visibly active is truly not active, and we can make that recommendation to the regional district to make sure it is safe before we give that recommendation.
Thanks very much. Yeah, and same with, you know, we work really closely with the incident command team and our EOC director, and the entire emergency operations team collaborate just on kind of the, you know, the general idea around our orders and our alerts, because of course it's something that we don't take lightly either, and it's really a significant thing that is put into place for public safety measures. So it's also something that's you know, difficult to speculate on how long an order may be in place for. It's all going to be very variable depending on the situation that's on the ground. So, you know, we're coordinating closely with the recommendations we're hearing from BC Wildfire. So while sometimes people want to know, you know, when things might be ending, we may not always have an answer for that. And like was mentioned, I know it might be, you know, frustrating for people who might live nearby or who might be on an alert next to an area that's on order. But there are always many different things taken into consideration on when, you know, alerts can be rescinded and an area is all clear, or when an order can be lifted back to an alert if that's the case. So there's no real set answer, I guess, on how often. It's really, really variable, and a lot of things are taken into consideration. So thank you for the question and for helping answer that one.
Yeah, I think maybe if I could just tack on to that a little bit too, is that it's not just the fire activity that you're seeing in the moment, it's what we're expecting long term as far as conditions and weather. And particularly with this year, with the sort of drought that we've seen province wide and that heat bubble that's had over the province for quite some time, it's really impacted and influenced the fire behavior that we continue to see. And even in some areas where there's been what I'm going to call minimal precipitation so far this year, it's hard to know like how far down that's going to penetrate into the ground and into the really dry fuels on the ground. So please, just for everybody to know that we are monitoring it. We're out there every day on the ground, in the sky, and always monitoring the conditions. We know that people do want to get back home, and we want to help people get back home, but we want them to be safe to go back home and to not have to be pulled back out of their house once we lift those alerts or orders or make those recommendations. So it is really about just general safety and sort of the long-term conditions.
Thanks for adding that. And yeah, I know, I understand with the conditions and some of the mapping that is done on the Bc Wildfire Service, there's sort of different predictions and modeling and things that you can look at. Whereas you're right, it might look different from somebody who's on the ground near the area versus what you can kind of see based on the kind of conditions and mapping and where you might place an alert or an order in to be able to protect that should, you know, the forecasting maybe move in that sort of direction. So yeah, I think it's a lot for people to kind of understand that it's ultimately public safety, and you know, it's very difficult to give an exact timeline sometimes for people, but please to you know, if you're wondering if you're on alert or order, contact your local government. If you're in the Thompson-Nicola Regional District, I'll share some of our resources that we have available on the website to help you find that out as well. There's a few TNRD specific ones that I can take when I finish up wrapping up the meeting, but I think I have two more for BC Wildfire while I still have you, and then I'll get an update from our Canadian Red Cross panelists today. So let me just look at my list here. Okay, BC Wildfire. There is a question from a member of the public. They say there's a lot of commentary about not relying on satellite imagery and interpretation of fire behaviors posted by individuals. So I know that we have been seeing a lot of that shared. They go on to say that I think people appreciate the efforts by others as information is specific and timely, and are asking if there is any way BC Wildfire Service could make updates more regular and detailed, for example, every morning and very evening, as it's very stressful living under evacuation alert and order. And
Yeah,
I'll kind of leave it at that.
Thanks, Michelle. It's Taylor here from the Kamloops Fire Center. I can help answer that one. So, as new technology emerges, we are continuing to remind the public to understand, what their best uses are for. And so, although we have these fire detection tools, some of them are known as, MODIS is one of them. It can be helpful to gather information about wildfires in your area, but they can also cause a lot of confusion and anxiety. And I think we made a post about this on our social media channels last night that just reminds people of what MODIS is used for and how it senses the intensity of through electromagnetic radiation from the earth in various wavelengths or channels. So this means that heat signatures are picked up by satellite and the map is populated with pixels. And these satellites can use a lot of different things. They can flag smoke or large open areas such as cut blocks as a heat signature. So these can be mistaken for, lots of fire activity on these sorts of platforms. So we just like to remind people to come to our legitimate sources like bcwildfire.ca and our Facebook and social media pages, as well as your local governments for the most up-to-date and relevant information. And we understand how stressful living under an evacuation order and alert is, and we do our best to provide accurate and timely updates as often as we get them. So when it comes to size, right now we've been seeing a lot of smoke in the area within the Kamloops Fire Center region for sure, and as it sounds in the Caribou as well. So this has made it really difficult for us to get updates from the air, and current tracks and perimeters on fires have been affected by this smoke and getting that information. So it is, we're doing our best that we can to get the information out as often as we can, and we do shoot to get it out as much as we can, whether that's 1 to 2 times a day or more. So reminder just to check our social media platforms, our Wildfires of Note page for information from legitimate sources.
I think too, to add on to what Taylor just said, on those Fire of Note pages and on the website, there's links to contact fire information officers. So if there's something particular that you're seeing or not seeing that you either want to know more about or have a question about, always feel free to give us a call, because any one of us is going to be happy to answer and talk through any questions that you might have. If we don't have the information in the moment, we can definitely do what we can to get it for you and give you a call back or circle back with whoever it is that's wondering. And I think the tricky piece about posting some of those things around fire activity direction where it's moving in that moment, that information is only accurate in the moment that we give it to you. And then beyond that, things can change, weather can change, and it can really impact and switch up some of the fire activity, behavior, direction, growth, all of those things. So it's kind of tricky to post those things because it's not always going to be true anymore 15, 20, however many minutes later.
Thanks to you both for those updates. I gotta say, I really appreciate all the information that I can find when I'm visiting BC Wildfire Service, as we're helping residents as well in our Emergency Operations Center. And it's a really good reminder for everybody who's watching us today, but I think we've been trying to continue to drive the message home to be following your local authority, going to the direct sources of information. If it's wildfire updates and status, BC Wildfire. If it's road conditions, it's Drive BC. And if it's evacuation alerts or orders, please contact your local authority. If you're unsure who that is, you can find that information as well on the BC Wildfire Information Interactive Map, and on the TNRD's interactive map will show whether the alert or order has been issued by the TNRD or by First Nations or other local government. So there's always your official sources of information, and we do understand that a lot of the in the moment information being shared by residents is quite readily available as well. But if you're ever unsure of what you're seeing or need to clarify, again, please contact us. Please please check into the BC Wildfire Fires of Notes and find that local fire information officer that you can reach out to as well. And we'll be happy to give you the official information that we have available to help you out. And lastly, we have one more question for BC Wildfire Service. This question says that BC has accepted assistance from Mexico. Why is no assistance being accepted from our closest neighbor, Alberta? Is there anyone with BC Wildfire that can answer that question today?
Yeah, thanks, Michelle. I can answer that question again. So there are currently resources from Alberta that are working in the Southeast Fire Center. So we do have support from our neighbors right now. Right now we have an incident management team that's working closely with the Southeast Fire Center at some incidents that are located in their region. And they're set to time out and return home in the next few days, and they will be replaced by another incident management team that is from Alberta. So we're very thankful for their help and support in the Southeast Fire Center region there. So the Canadian Interagency Forest Fire Center, so they're otherwise known as CIFC, they help us coordinate movement of firefighting resources across Canada. And due to high activity among many of the provinces in Canada right now, such as Ontario, it's likely that Alberta resources haven't been deployed to BC because they've been helping either at home in their own province or in other provinces throughout Canada as well. So we're continuing to access all available resources to us. We have great partnerships with industry, First Nation governments, and local authorities that we're working with right now throughout the province as well. So we are tapping into our local resources when they are available.
Great, thanks so much for the update on that. That's a very good question. And yeah, it's great to see so much support being sent out here to BC, in addition to all of the hard work that's been going on for such a long time now from our BC Wildfire Service. So I think that is the final question that we had from our public submissions today. So again, we really appreciate the time and hearing from all of the different incidents that are happening throughout the Thompson-Nicola Regional District, all of the suppression efforts that are happening on the ground, and all of the information that's being shared from the BC Wildfire Service. We thank you so much and value your time. So we are going to sign off on BC Wildfire unless any of you would like to stick around with us, and we will be checking in again in the next few days for our next information update and hearing from BC Wildfire Service personnel. So thank you very much again to all of you. We appreciate all of your efforts out there, and we will talk soon. So next, we will get an update on Canadian Red Cross efforts. We have Matt Baden here with us today. Hi, Matt.
Hello, thank you for having me. And thanks for the opportunity to update you all on Red Cross activities in the Thompson-Nicola Regional District. My name is Matt Baden. I am the Deputy Operations Manager for the Canadian Red Cross in British Columbia. And I'm happy to say that thanks to the generosity of Canadians who have contributed to the Canadian Red Cross BC Fires Appeal, the Red Cross will be providing one-time financial assistance to people who were evacuated, and in addition to the funding being distributed on behalf of the province of British Columbia. So eligible households who are evacuated from the Lytton region due to wildfires will receive up to $2,000, and eligible households across British Columbia who are or have been under evacuation order by a local authority or through a band council resolution for 10 consecutive days or more due to wildfires will receive $1,200. This financial assistance will allow people to make decisions for themselves and their families on what they need. In order to access the financial assistance from both the province of British Columbia and the Red Cross, households on evacuation order need to register with the Canadian Red Cross to determine their eligibility. You can register by calling 1-800-863-6582 between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. 7 days a week. Registration ensures people who are under mandatory evacuation can be contacted while away from home and reached with information and assistance that may become available. For those who are unable to register by phone, the Red Cross will be setting up in-person locations throughout the region and Lower Mainland. More information on these sites will be released in the coming days. You can visit redcross.ca/2021 BC Fires for the
Oh, I think we lost your audio there, Matt. Matt, can you hear me?
Much needed relief and recovery services to those impacted.
Sorry, Matt, your audio just cut out for the last little bit of that for about the last minute or so. I'm sorry if.
Oh, no, that's okay. It was basically a thank you, and that we'll continue to
Great.
work with our partners.
Thank you. Well, we did hear the great news on the update on the monetary financial compensation that some of our evacuees are receiving, both in Lytton and those who have been on evacuation order for a period of time, which we know there are unfortunately a number of individuals who are experiencing that here. So that is great news, and we're happy to hear that the Canadian Red Cross is receiving so much financial support from the public, and we thank your organization very much for supporting the donations and being able to provide all this to everybody in BC. So thanks very much, Matt. We appreciate that. Great. Okay. Well, now I'm just going to take the meeting back and give a few updates just from the Thompson-Nicola Regional District and answer any of the questions that came in for the TNRD, and then kind of provide a final overview on the alerts and orders within the regional district, and share a few pieces of key information that are available on our website. So to start with, I'll just go back to the public questions we have received for submission. Again, these are not being answered live during these meetings, but rather we're asking if questions can be submitted in advance so that we can have them shared with our agencies such as Red Cross and Bc Wildfire, who join us, and the Thompson-Nicola Regional District, so we can all attempt to address and answer the questions during these meetings. So these were ones that had been received, even I think as of today or yesterday. So the first one is from a TNRD resident, and they are looking for a timeline for residents being able to return to properties in Spence's Bridge, kind of looking for a maybe and an idea on the reopening. And I hope that we can give some information later. We did get a bit of an update on that, on the fire impacting Spence's Bridge earlier, and it sounded like there was some positive work being done in that area and progress was being made. However, at this time, I don't know exactly when. We will, of course, be receiving recommendations from Bc Wildfire, but as you probably heard earlier, if you have been with us throughout this meeting, that there's a number of things that go into a recommendation from Bc Wildfire back to the local government authority to rescind an order or lift an alert that's in place. So at this time, I don't know exactly when the status will be changing. The community of Spence's Bridge is under evacuation order still at this point. So the best thing I can recommend is, as soon as we do any changes to existing orders or alerts or issue anything new, as soon as we have the information ready to go, it's published on our website at tnrd.ca. It's on our Facebook and Twitter feed. It's also sent out directly to people who have registered to receive alerts from us through our emergency notification system, Buoyant Alert. So if you are a resident of Spence's Bridge and have not already signed up to use Buoyant Alert, I would highly recommend that you do that. You'll get any change to alerts and orders in your area directly on a device that you've registered with. So if you have a mobile phone, that's probably the best way you can be getting this information while you're evacuated, or if you have family and friends that could help as well. If you don't have a mobile device, they could also set up your address for you to kind of help communicate the information. You can also always call us here at the TNRD's EOC if you need any assistance getting set up with Buoyant Alert. If you don't have access to a mobile phone, if you'd like your home phone to be the primary way you're contacted, if you're currently at home and want to hear from us, just give us a call and we're happy to help you get set up. It's been a tool we've been using a lot this summer to be sending people evacuation orders and alerts so that they can get it in a way that's most convenient without having to, to go and check the website, kind of constantly and refreshing it. The next question was actually regarding a highway question. They would like to know when Highway 8 will be open to local residents. So I'm just going to actually share my screen here if I can. Here we go. So just wanted to share the Drive BC website, drivebc.ca, will be your best place to get any information on any impacts, road closures due to wildfires. There are a number, excuse me, a number of different roads and highways that are impacted by wildfires. So I have just pulled up Highway 8 on the Drive BC website here that you can see. Pardon me, I just had to mute my microphone. It's a little smoky here these days, pardon me. So yes, I just wanted to share the Drive BC website so you could have a look at that. And the next question that we received, pardon me, is regarding the information for fire-related alerts and orders is very confusing and not readily visible. Is there any reason there could not be a quick single entry point where I could enter my address and immediately see where I am under advisory or order? So I am going to share a couple of resources with you while we're during the meeting today, so you can see where it might be the most convenient way for you to find this information. Thank you. I have some water now. Thank you very much. The first place I'll show you is on the Thompson-Nicola Regional District website. Okay, so if you visit TNRD.ca and you're wondering if you're on order or alert and you live in the regional district, you will be able to find the information by clicking on any one of these large alert notices at the top of our website. As we activated our Emergency Operations Center, we have set up all of these resources for visitors to check out. If you click on any one of these, we'll click on the red Current Evacuation Orders button. You'll also see a link to an Evacuation Status Map. So if you then click there, this is going to bring up our interactive map that will show you all of the evacuation orders and alerts within the Thompson-Nicola Regional District, which you can see on my screen here. We have a lot of orange and a lot of red. Those are all indicating different orders and alerts. So you can either click on them just to sort of see which wildfire this is related to. You can link to the document that this one's for, or as this writer asked, is if they can enter their address and immediately see, you can do that on this map. So basically up in the top right, you have a search button. You can type in your address or use your current location, and it will automatically zoom to your location on the map. Now, I am located in Kamloops, that is in the city of Kamloops. The issuing authority and local government is City of Kamloops. So there are no active alerts or orders where I am. However, if you lived in the regional district outside of the municipal boundaries, you could type in your address and it would indicate whether you were on order or alert. So I did want to point that out as a great resource that we have for TNRD residents to be able to find this quickly and easily. The other one I wanted to share with you is actually on Emergency Management BC's website. I'm going to share that with you as well. if you're not within the Thompson-Nicola Regional District, but have heard that there is an evacuation order or alert in place, you can see a listing here on Emergency Info BC's website, which lists all BC evacuation orders and alerts. So it might have been issued by Ashcroft Indian Band, a different regional district, another municipality such as the District of Logan Lake. They're all listed here. So you can see if you're kind of unsure what issuing authority, who you had heard that this was coming from, if it's within the Thompson-Nicola Regional District, Caribou Regional District. We do share boundaries, and oftentimes fires can spread over the boundaries of regional districts. So we understand it can be a little bit confusing, but there are some very well compiled resources out here to try and help you find what you're looking for and make it more clear where you should be getting the most up-to-date information from. Okay, lastly, we have one final question that I'll address before we wrap up today's meeting. And that question is regarding, this one actually came into us last night. It was from a resident. Actually, I'll stop sharing my screen now as well. There we go. A resident had contacted us regarding the White Rock Lake fire. They had some concerns regarding further orders for the communities of Westwold, Falkland, and Monty Lake. So they had been trying to contact us to find out if there were any further orders and alerts, and they were looking to a Facebook group. In any case, I did just want to give an update on that there were no further orders put out due to the White Rock Lake fire for those communities. So the reason why there excuse me, was no further orders listed on our website or sent out via Buoyant alert or anything like that is because we did not have any other recommendations from BC Wildfire for Westwold, Falkland, and Monty Lake yesterday or into today. So again, just to reiterate that the most current information is best found from us. So thank you for reaching out and trying to clarify that with us. Excuse me. That is the best way that you can clarify if you're seeing information out there, if you're hearing something from your neighbor and you're not too sure if it's valid. Yes, please give us a call, check our website, sign up for Buoyant alert notification system. This individual also wanted to know if our emergency operations center was available 24/7. It's not 24/7. However, we are operating about 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. 7 days a week as needed. Oftentimes we have done evenings much later than that. And when we do have something happening in the evening, I think this is really important for public knowledge that as we see, sometimes activity does increase in the evening. So if we know that there's going to be maybe a recommendation coming in that we're going to be issuing, especially an evacuation order, and we're doing that into the evening hours, we are available later than our, say, 8 p.m. sort of time frame. So that's, I think, covers the question around this concern, where you might be seeing, and I think this was addressed earlier by BC Wildfire too, where you might be seeing some activity in your area. We are also getting that reporting from the ground from BC Wildfire as they need to contact us and inform us that there may be communities or residences within the TNRD that are going to be impacted. We'll hear that recommendation, of course, and act on it as needed. So again, contacting us, following our official channels, and also checking in with BC Wildfire I will share another resource that we've compiled on the TNRD website for some of the wildfires of note. So you should be seeing a screen, which is on the TNRD website called Wildfire Links and Resources. So our updates from BC Wildfire earlier talked about the frequency of how often they're updating the suppression efforts and the amount of equipment and personnel that are on site at the fires within the TNRD. We have also shared links to some of these wildfires on our website. This big blue bar for wildfire information is the way you find it. If you just come to our website and are looking for it, you will see wildfire links and resources, and you can see that we have listed links for all of these fires, and you can click on one, say Sparks Lake. That is one of our largest wildfires of notes in the region. So when you click it, it'll take you right here to the BC Wildfire Service website, and then you can get the most up-to-date information that BC Wildfire has put out. Different perimeter maps you can look at. You can link to their interactive map. You can learn about the different response types and stages of control. They talk about the fire behavior and different ground and air resources in different parts. So for example, northern flank, there's currently no ground or air resources, which we heard in the update earlier. So it is very, very informative updates that you can find here on the BC Wildfire website, and also shares some of their objectives that they are planning on as they are battling these fires. So I did want to share that with you, just because when we have our wildfire update meetings, we're hearing from all of the different information officers and incident commanders from BC Wildfire about these exact fires. Okay, a couple of last things before we wrap up the meeting today. Our Resiliency Center, the TNRD's Resiliency Center, is open in Kamloops. That is open from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. This is a really great service. It's a resource for evacuees. So if you have been evacuated from your home, we know that there are a lot of people who have been on evacuation order for some time, and you're probably eager to start learning about what the next steps are. If you have any concerns about insurance claims or advice, this is a great place where you can go. We coordinate there with a variety of non-governmental agencies and provide information service for all evacuees on things like, from organizations like Samaritan's Purse, Team Rubicon, the First Nations Health Authority, Interior Health, and Service Canada and Service BC are also located there. Again, if you're looking to contact them by phone or email, you can find that on our website on tnrd.ca. This service will also potentially be mobile in the future. We're currently working on having this be a more mobile service that we can take out to serve evacuees where they are, as we know that many people have been dispersed across the province this year due to the wildfires. Just a quick reminder, we wanted to share around staying behind in an evacuation order. I think that BC Wildfire Service and all of our local governments have been kind of trying to drive this one home over the last little while due to some reports and some things that we've been hearing on residents who do decide to stay behind when an evacuation order has been issued. Basically, if you choose to remain in an area of an evacuation order, it puts yourself, your family, and our first responders in danger. So if you are in an evacuation order, it means that you're advised to leave the area for your own safety, and for the health and safety of firefighters. And basically what we've been hearing from our wildfire personnel is that people remaining in areas under evacuation order may impede their fire crews because they may be forced to stop fighting so that they can keep people out of harm's way that may have stayed behind due to an order. So just an important safety update. Evacuation orders are definitely not issued lightly. They are important life-saving orders, and it's really important. If you're thinking about it, there's a lot of different things that could happen, both to yourself and to firefighting efforts. The contact number for the TNRD's EOC is available on our website. It'll also be posted on this meeting when the recording is uploaded to our YouTube page. Again, we operate 7 days a week from around 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And thanks very much to everyone who's already signed up and using our alerting system, Buoyant Alert. We have grown that service exponentially and have been using it an awful lot this season. So if you have any feedback or questions about that service, please give our EOC a call and we'd be happy to talk you through it. Again, we are holding these information sessions every few days or more frequently. So depending on how the weather treats us over the next few days, we can expect to see this next one by Tuesday or Wednesday of this week. And so for questions and answers, if you had any questions that you wanted to ask us today, you can do it a couple ways. You can either call us in the EOC and we'd be happy to answer your question for you, or you can use the form on the TNRD website and you can submit any questions to us that we will be answering during these live meetings. A reminder, our TNRD website with the interactive map on it. And I will quickly show that before we wrap up the meeting today. Okay, so I'm still on an evacuation order list from when I shared my screen earlier, but I'm just going to open up the evacuation status map. So the region, as you can see, there's still quite a lot of orange and red showing. That's a total of 23 active evacuation orders. Those are each a separate evacuation order that has been issued for several properties, and 39 active evacuation alerts still within the Thompson-Nicola Regional District. So while we have been able to rescind a few different orders down to alerts in these past few days, there is still, as we heard from BC Wildfire, a lot of activity happening throughout all of the various wildfires in the region and beyond. So it's a very active season where we're looking at on my screen here. As you can see, this is probably the most active area, the one with the largest amount of red. If you're visiting on our website, you can kind of click on the fire icon. Oh, that didn't quite bring me up. That brought me a vehicle incident. There we go. So you can click on the fire icon to see which fire is causing all of these evacuation orders and alerts. And as you can see, this one I clicked on is the Sparks Lake wildfire. You can click directly here to go to the Fire of Note webpage on BC Wildfire. You can also kind of click through all of the different links to documents that we have due to various orders and alerts that have been issued in and around the fire that you have chosen to look at. So there's a number of different ways. If you're not too sure if your address is being impacted, please visit our interactive map and type in your address. If you're within the TNRD, it'll help you pull it up. If you are just kind of more visually inclined, if you just want to kind of look at the map and you know of an area you'd like to see closer in on, this is a really good way to do that too. And lastly, of course, as I mentioned, the Buoyant alert notification system, it'll basically allow you to identify an address point or multiple address points that you're interested in. And those that are within the Thompson-Nicola Regional District, we issue all of our alerts and orders through the Buoyant alert notification system. So you can get a number of alerts from us directly that way. Okay, so just to finalize the meeting today, further information will continue to be provided on our website, tnrd.ca. Our social media channels, Facebook and Twitter. We share a lot of information on our radio and news outlets locally. And then, of course, our alert system, Buoyant Alert. So please follow these channels for the latest updates as we continue to go through the wildfire season here. And of course, following BC Wildfire, if you're interested in any more info on the suppression efforts on the ground. So that does it for today's meeting. We look forward to the next update within a few days. So please check out our channels to find out when that next one will be, and we'll provide an update then. Thank you very much, and take care and be safe.